When a marriage is built under the glare of millions of eyes, silence can often speak much louder than words. For years, the story of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle was presented to the world as an unshakable bond, two people against the entire world. But what happens when the private walls of Montecito begin to show subtle cracks? When longtime royal biographer Lady Colin Campbell publicly alleged that secret messages were discovered on Prince Harry's phone involving a mystery woman, it did not just create tabloid headlines. It tapped into a growing sense of curiosity about what happens when the honeymoon phase of a public crusade finally wears off. Was this claim merely another piece of royal gossip, or did it expose a far deeper psychological shift in how Harry and Meghan are navigating their independent lives? The royal narrative has always been driven by dramatic shifts, but few moments in recent memory have ignited public curiosity quite like the assertions made by royal author Lady Colin Campbell. Speaking through her public commentary platforms, Lady C delivered a claim that immediately reverberated across global media circles. She alleged that Prince Harry had developed a close, unauthorized connection with another woman, and, more critically, that Meghan Markle had personally discovered a series of private messages between them. To understand why this allegation captured the public's imagination so intensely, one must look past the surface noise of tabloid journalism. For nearly a decade, Harry and Meghan did not simply present themselves as a married couple, they built an international public identity around the concept of complete, impenetrable unity. They were partners in exile, a united front standing firm against the intense pressure of traditional royal institutions and hostile media coverage. When a relationship is framed in such absolute terms, even the quietest whisper of internal betrayal carries massive structural weight. The psychological tension of this revelation lies in the fragile nature of public trust. When an allegation directly touches upon private communication within a high-profile marriage, it forces observers to re-examine every past action, every joint appearance, and every shared statement through a brand new lens. The immediate fallout was not characterized by loud public arguments, but rather by a watchful, uncomfortable silence from Montecito. For commentators and psychologists alike, this claim became a key focal point for a much larger question: what happens to a partnership built on shared battles when the common enemy is no longer in the room? Rather than offering instant answers, the initial spark of this rumor established a crucial baseline. It revealed two people operating under an unimaginable emotional microscope, where private doubts can instantly become public property. What was it about the specific timing of these public claims that made so many longtime observers willing to believe them in the first place? To fully comprehend how such damaging rumors gain traction, it is necessary to step away from the headline noise and examine the quiet reality inside the couple's Montecito home leading up to these events. When Harry and Meghan first made their dramatic exit from the United Kingdom, the primary goal was peace, autonomy, and absolute control over their personal lives. However, psychological research into major life transitions shows that escaping a high-stress environment does not automatically eliminate internal anxiety. Often, it simply shifts the focus of that anxiety inward. As the initial adrenaline of their departure faded into routine, the immense commercial and emotional pressure of building an independent global brand took hold. Running multi-million-dollar media production deals, managing security logistics, and maintaining public relevance proved to be an exhausting endeavor. Over time, astute observers began to notice subtle shifts in how the couple operated daily. The absolute togetherness that defined their early years slowly gave way to distinct, separate professional paths. Prince Harry began leaning heavily into his personal legal struggles, personal mental health initiatives, and overseas charitable efforts. At the same time, Meghan turned her attention toward building lifestyle ventures, individual media projects, and independent commercial partnerships. While professional division of labor is healthy for any couple, in the psychological context of Harry and Meghan, it represented a fundamental change in dynamic. When two individuals who once stood shoulder to shoulder start moving in separate directions, an emotional void inevitably forms. Human nature dictates that when official information stops flowing, public speculation will quickly fill the space. Inside their private residence, away from the cameras and production crews, the daily reality had evolved from a shared mission into two distinct personal journeys happening under the very same roof. As their daily lives slowly began to drift into separate lanes, What was truly taking place behind closed doors when the cameras were finally turned off? At the heart of Lady Colin Campbell's controversial claim sits a specific, highly detailed detail: the discovery of private digital communications. According to Lady C's public commentary, Prince Harry had formed a discreet bond with a woman based in California, someone completely outside the traditional royal ecosystem who offered a calm, unburdened ear away from the constant pressures of public life. The claim suggests that the critical turning point occurred when Meghan accidentally came across these text messages, discovering a private channel of communication that had been kept entirely secret from her. From a psychological perspective, the discovery of hidden messages within a high-stakes relationship triggers a profound crisis of control. For a couple whose entire public brand relies on mutual trust and absolute transparency, the existence of secret communications represents more than just potential romantic betrayal. It represents a terrifying crack in the protective armor they built together. When one partner seeks emotional comfort outside the primary relationship, it often indicates a deep-seated feeling of being misunderstood or overwhelmed within the home. Lady C was notably strategic in her delivery, using carefully measured language to avoid direct legal vulnerability while ensuring the emotional core of the story reached a massive audience. The public latched onto this detail because digital privacy is a universal modern vulnerability. Everyone understands the emotional weight of finding something unexpected on a partner's device. For Harry and Meghan, whose entire life story has been shaped by privacy breaches and media intrusion, the idea that the ultimate privacy breach occurred internally added a tragic, compelling layer to the narrative. It raised fundamental psychological questions about whether two people can ever maintain true intimacy when every conversation, message, and interaction is weighed against global consequences. How did Meghan actually react behind closed doors when confronted with these troubling claims, and what did her immediate behavior reveal about her internal state? While public commentary debated the truth of secret text messages, concrete evidence of a changing relationship dynamic was already unfolding in plain sight through their public schedules. Over a period of several months, a clear pattern of physical separation began to emerge. Prince Harry embarked on a series of solo international trips, appearing in London for high-profile legal battles, attending charity galas in Africa, and visiting Asia, all without his wife by his side. Conversely, Meghan was seen attending exclusive events in California, traveling independently to corporate gatherings, and building her brand without Harry present. This stood in stark contrast to their early post-royal life, where the couple famously insisted on appearing together at almost every public event, often holding hands and reinforcing their complete unity. Psychologists who study long-term relationships note that physical separation can serve two vastly different purposes. It can be a healthy tool for personal independence, or it can be a subconscious coping mechanism to create space when emotional tension becomes unbearable. For royal watchers, these separate itineraries were not merely logistical choices, they were visible symptoms of a changing dynamic. When a couple faces continuous external pressure, physical distance often provides a temporary relief valve, allowing each individual to breathe without the immediate burden of managing the other's emotional needs. However, prolonged physical separation also carries significant risks. It isolates partners during their most vulnerable moments, making it easier for misunderstandings to grow and harder for trust to be re-established. As the physical distance between them widened with every solo flight and independent appearance, the narrative surrounding their marriage reached a critical tipping point. Was this physical separation a deliberate long-term strategy to save their individual identities, or was it clear evidence that they were already living fundamentally separate lives? To truly understand Prince Harry's emotional state during this period, one must examine the profound psychological impact of his complete life transition. In his own written words and public interviews, Harry has frequently spoken about the heavy cost of his choices. Leaving the royal family meant sacrificing not just a job, but his military titles, his lifelong identity, his security framework, and his foundational relationships with his family and oldest friends. When a person makes such monumental sacrifices for a relationship, the psychological burden placed on that marriage becomes extraordinarily high. The relationship is forced to bear the weight of everything that was given up. If normal marital tension arises, the unstated question inevitably emerges: was the sacrifice worth it? Psychologists refer to this as the burden of idealization. For Harry, living in a quiet California enclave far away from the culture, institutions, and people he knew for 35 years could easily foster feelings of isolation and quiet regret. In this context, Harry's alleged desire for outside connection, whether through hidden messages or new friendships, takes on a deeply human quality. It suggests a man searching for a sense of familiarity, someone who can understand his unique struggles without expecting him to constantly play the hero in a public narrative. The transition from a structured royal environment to an unstructured commercial lifestyle can leave an individual feeling lost. For Harry, the emotional reality of life in Montecito was not just about luxury and freedom, it was about navigating the complex, painful process of reinventing himself while carrying the heavy emotional baggage of everything he left behind in his homeland. How was Meghan processing this exact same emotional shift, while simultaneously bearing the responsibility of holding their shared business empire together? The psychological landscape of Prince Harry's life cannot be analyzed without acknowledging the powerful shadow of his upbringing. Harry's early childhood was defined by the public, messy, and devastating breakdown of his parents' marriage. He had a front-row seat to the destructive power of media intrusion, extramarital claims, leaked phone conversations, and public judgment that ultimately destroyed the life of his mother, Princess Diana. Because of this history, themes of trust, secret communications, and marital betrayal are not just simple personal issues for Harry, they are deeply rooted psychological triggers. Growing up in an environment where private betrayals were routinely splashed across international front pages leaves a permanent mark on an individual's emotional blueprint. Any claim involving secret friendships or broken trust inevitably activates deep-seated fears of repeating the past. For Meghan, entering the royal narrative brought its own set of intense historical comparisons. From the moment their relationship was made public, she was constantly compared to figures from royal history, carrying the immense pressure of living up to an impossible ideal while facing severe criticism. When rumors of marital tension emerge, the psychological impact on her is equally severe. The fear of failure, combined with the prospect of history repeating itself in any form, creates an environment where every private discussion carries high emotional stakes. This chapter of their story illustrates that the current friction is not simply about an unverified modern rumor, it is about the heavy, unresolved weight of history that both individuals carry into their daily lives, making every challenge feel like a matter of emotional survival. When the relentless weight of past trauma collides with modern pressure, what was Meghan's ultimate, calculated response to the unfolding narrative? When public figures face devastating personal allegations, their response usually takes one of two forms: immediate, defensive denials or strategic, deliberate silence. In the days and weeks following Lady Colin Campbell's public claims, Meghan Markle chose a path that psychological experts describe as high-level narrative control. Rather than issuing fiery public statements or engaging directly with the tabloid claims, which would only validate the stories and prolong the news cycle, Meghan responded through deliberate, calculated action. She visibly doubled down on her individual autonomy. Publicly, she launched new lifestyle initiatives, engaged in high-profile solo appearances, and presented an image of supreme confidence and independence. However, behavioral analysts noted subtle, unmistakable changes in her public demeanor. Her posture was more guarded, her schedule was tightly controlled, and her interactions appeared focused almost exclusively on her independent brand rather than joint ventures with her husband. This reaction speaks volumes about her underlying psychological strategy. When internal control is threatened, individuals with strong public personas often retreat into self-reliance, creating a clear boundary between their own identity and the source of stress. Behind closed doors, sources indicated an intense focus on protecting her children from the surrounding noise and tightly managing the couple's public image. Rather than allowing the media narrative to dictate her emotional state, Meghan chose to project total independence. Yet, this very independence reinforced the public's perception that the couple was no longer operating as the seamless, unified team they once were. Her reaction did not explicitly confirm or deny the claims, but it clearly signaled a major shift in how she intended to navigate her life moving forward. With both of them now standing at a crucial crossroads, what does this pivotal moment reveal about the ultimate future of their partnership? The story of Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and the dramatic claims made by Lady Colin Campbell ultimately transcends basic celebrity gossip. Beyond the provocative headlines, the secret text messages, and the public speculation lies a profound human truth: the immense difficulty of sustaining a long-term relationship under the relentless glare of global scrutiny. Whether the specific claims of a secret girlfriend are ever fully proven or remain trapped in the realm of unconfirmed commentary, the true story is about the natural, often painful evolution of a partnership. Harry and Meghan are no longer the starry-eyed young couple making a dramatic, idealistic exit from the royal family. They are adults living in the real world, facing the complex, unglamorous work of managing personal identities, high-stakes business pressure, and individual psychological growth. As they continue to carve out separate professional and personal paths, the dynamic between them has permanently shifted. Growth often requires going through uncomfortable truths, and surviving immense public pressure requires a continuous reassessment of shared goals. Their journey serves as a powerful case study in modern celebrity, personal sacrifice, and human resilience. The shared walls they built in Montecito may indeed be changing, but the story is far from over. Ultimately, the resolution to their narrative will not be written by tabloid biographers or public commentators, but by the quiet, daily choices made by two people navigating an extraordinary life together behind closed doors. As they continue to redefine who they are, both together and apart, will the foundation they built hold strong, or will the world witness another dramatic chapter in the royal narrative?